energy. This is the SEC on ESPN. And it is loud right now for this early start, this new local start here inside Rupp Arena in Lexington. An SEC battle between the Alabama Crimson Tide and the Kentucky Wildcats. A rivalry that has been dominated over the years by the Cats, winning just about 3 out of every 4 matchups. They've won 11 of the last 12, but the Tide got them in Tuscaloosa last year in a 2-point game. The last time Alabama won here at Rupp was way back in 2006. They've lost 7 in a row in this building. Hi, everybody, and welcome inside Rupp Arena, where you can always count on 2 things. 20,000 plus members of Big Blue Nation are here to cheer on their beloved Cats, and we're getting ice cream at some point during this game. But I digress. Dan Shulman and Jay Bilas. This is going to be a great matchup, a lot of great individual matchups. Let's start with Ashton Hagans.
Well, Kentucky's really starting to play better. They're really starting to elevate their game, and they're doing it on the defensive end, led by Ashton Hagans, one of the best defenders in the country, and he was just brilliant against Georgia. And Kentucky's going to have its hands full with Alabama, because Alabama gets up and down the floor. They average 84 points a game, 90 in the last 5 games, and they do it from the 3-point line. They shoot 30 threes a game. They make over 11. John Petty, one of the best 3-point shooters in the country, and I think that this Alabama team is going to have to get a lot of them up in transition, because in a half-court game, Kentucky's going to be able to lock down shooters in transition much more difficult.
Look at Kentucky's record under John Calipari here in this arena over the years, almost unbeatable. This one should be fun with a pace with which Alabama plays. They want to get it up and down, as Jay mentioned. First possession of the afternoon goes to the Cats.
Alabama starting out in man-to-man. Kyra Lewis Jr., an excellent point guard on Hagans. That is a fantastic matchup of 2 of the best point guards in the country.
And 2 guys who have known each other and competed against one another since the 8th grade. Brooks is open and misses the 15-footer, and John Petty Jr., not only the leading scorer, also the leading rebounder, Jay, for Alabama. And there's an example of the quick trigger right off the bat. Alex Reese misses a 3.
Now, Alex Reese is a big guy, but he can really stretch you and pull the Kentucky big guys away from the bucket.
Boy, how about the first 2 shots of the game for Kentucky going to Keon Brooks Jr. when he knocks down the second one?
That's an important possession for Keon Brooks. He's been struggling over his last 5 games, only 8 of 22 from the field over that stretch.
Well, you talked about this Lewis-Hagans matchup. Hagans acknowledged as one of the best on-ball defenders in the country. Lewis, one of the quickest point guards in the country for Alabama. Both sophomores. Lewis, just 18 years of age, was the youngest player in Division I a year ago.
He reclassed and really did, I thought, an amazing job last year of running the team as a point guard. He's such a good passer, but he can also score. And right now, Tyrese Maxey, the freshman, the Kentucky freshman, is on John Petty Jr., and that's a big matchup for Maxey.
How about a hold underneath? There was just 3 seconds left on the shot clock when the inbounds play happened, and Brooks fouled Herbert Jones underneath.
And Herbert Jones, a lefty, and one of the most respected players in the league. A guy who plays great defense.
So not only a foul, but that gets Alabama back to 20 on the shot clock as they inbound the ball now.
Maxey doesn't need to worry about helping out. Just pay attention to Petty.
Made him put the ball on the floor, which is a win for Kentucky, the way that Petty can shoot the 3. And now Lewis standing out of bounds as he accepted the pass.
Just putting that right leg behind him to get a little bit of leverage. There's Nate Oates, who, did you know he taught statistics in the kinesiology department at the University of Wisconsin-Madison?
I did not know that.
That happens with a lot of coaches. A lot of coaches do that. They teach statistics in the kinesiology department.
Well, another reason for me to like him, he's also a Green Bay Packers fan. He's a Wisconsin guy and played D3 ball there, coached high school ball in Romulus, Michigan for 11 years before going to the University of Buffalo as an assistant and then the head coach. Nick Richards with a jump hook, and how about the development in the junior season for Nick Richards?
Well, he did a great job of having poise in the low post. The double team came to him. They were digging down, and John Petty digs down off the pass. But he let that go away, and then he went one-on-one.
I think Maxey tipped that into his own bucket, trying to deflect the alley-oop attempt.
So the closest Crimson Tide player gets that basket.
And it looks like they've given it to Galen Smith.
That's when you can tell you have a young team, is whenever the ball goes in the basket and nobody shot it in, you got to lift your arm up and act like it was you, and maybe the official score gives it to you.
Maxey, a little bit strong, and the rebound down to Lewis. And again, Alabama's going to look to push whenever they can. Quick three for Petty, not there. And skying for the rebound. Brooks got a fingertip on it. It bounces to Richards.
Boy, how about the pass ahead by Kyra Lewis Jr. to get it to Petty to get that transition three.
Lewis stays in front of Higgins. Higgins gets it back.
Kentucky wants to drive the ball. Everything they do is to get a drive or a post-up.
18-footer, E.J. Montgomery, and a guy who's been kind of up and down this season. John Calipari's looking for other guys to step up, whether it's Brooks, whether it's Montgomery.
Well, 7 games ago, E.J. Montgomery had 25 points against Fairleigh Dickinson. He's had 21 points since.
Everything but the finish there, but a nice move by Herbert Jones. Now it's Kentucky running the floor, but they'll turn it over.
Now take a look at Nick Richards here in the post, where he pauses for poise. The ball goes in. He doesn't make a quick move. He's pushed off the lane just a little bit. Petty comes down for the double team. And then when Petty leaves, he goes ahead and he makes a move and goes to that left shoulder jump hook. Just a really great job by the junior of showing poise in the post.
Richards averaging 13 points, 7.5 rebounds per game, and he's already got his second block of the afternoon. Oop, Higgins, yep. A little bit of happy feet there, thinking about stepping into the three, and he gives it right back over to the Tide.
Well, Kentucky may have made a few mistakes on the offensive end, but defensively they have been excellent. Just a really great job by Nick Richards, who got in some foul trouble in the road game against Georgia. Picked up 2 early ones because he got in a little of a personal battle down in the post in the second half. He was terrific. Wound up with 13 points in the second half. A huge reason why Kentucky won that game.
Lewis the kick. Reese wide open for 3. And some pretty good looks not going down right now for Alabama, but they get the offensive rebound.
How physical was that in the post? On that rebound, there were a lot of bodies banging. You better be ready for long rebounds against this Alabama team, because they are launching.
Petty the drive and the kick. And the slam will go down for Smith.
Well, Petty did such a great job. He drew 3 defenders, which you don't need if you're Kentucky. One guy trying to block the shot is enough, and force him into a tough 2. You overhelp, and it opens up the offensive glass.
Higgins with the mid-range jumper. Kentucky by 4. But here they come. Can't turn your back, can't slow down, and a foul at the other end on Montgomery. Well, this is the beginning of a lot of college basketball, so plan your day accordingly. We'll tell you all about it when we come back. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by 5-Hour Energy Shots. Energy on the go. John Calipari, Kentucky up 4 in the early going here on the Crimson Tide. And this is the beginning, as we said, of a fun and busy day of college basketball. If you want to stay right here on ESPN, the next game, Louisville is in South Bend to take on the Irish. Jordan Moore and company at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. Syracuse and Virginia, 4 o'clock Eastern Time down in Charlottesville. And then at 6 o'clock Eastern Time, a ranked matchup out of the Big 12, Texas Tech and West Virginia. Georgia-Auburn, which originally was supposed to be later, was moved to earlier. That game's going on right now because there's a big storm coming through the southeast later on today, including these parts here in Kentucky. So Georgia and Auburn are currently playing on ESPN News, and San Diego State, the other unbeaten, taking on Boise State later on today.
Is that Auburn-Georgia game not indoors?
Checking. Get back to you on that.
It's one of my favorite things about basketball. All the games are indoors.
Yes. Well, except the one we did on the aircraft.
The aircraft
carrier, right? Which was a
fabulous experience.
Yes, it was back in 2011. North Carolina, Michigan State, right? Down in San Diego. Khalil Whitney in for Kentucky. Nate Sestina, the grad transfer from Bucknell, has come in as well. Jaden Shackelford, a freshman for Alabama, number 5, a lefty, a good shooter, has come in. And also a familiar face, we mentioned West Virginia, a former member of the Mountaineers. Beetle Bolden is a grad transfer who was with Alabama, a guy who played very well for West Virginia against Nate Oates' Buffalo Bulls last year, when the game actually won by Buffalo down in Morgantown.
That Buffalo team last year was excellent. Won well over 30 games, NCAA tournament. What a drive. Kyra Lewis Jr. is a big-time guard.
He is terrific. I mean, how many games will we see, Jay, this year where you've got Hagans and Maxey on one side and Lewis and Petty on the other side? Quality guards, quality backcourt to that degree for both teams.
Very few. I mean, this league, Southeastern Conference, has some excellent point guards, but none better than these two. And I'll tell you right now, Kentucky has been settling for jump shots. That last shot by Nick Richards is one that he can make, but it is not one that John Calipari wants him to take in this game.
Beetle Bolden misses a couple of three-point attempts in Alabama, which averages better than 11 threes per game, cold from beyond the arc in the early going. Whitney tried to dump it down to Richards, couldn't handle the pass. Bolden the kick, and Herbert Jones with a burst of speed. Alabama leads. Timeout, John Calipari.
Take a bad shot, turn the ball over, and Alabama can turn it into quick points. Kentucky's problem hasn't been defense, it's been offense. Poor offense has led to some quick offense for the Crimson Tide playing on the road.
These Alabama Crimson Tide guys, 8-6, 1-1 in the league. You go, so are they a decent team? You and I both feel there's a lot here. They started off 2-4. They've won 6 of their last 8, and the 2 they lost on the road at Penn State by 2 after leading by 9 in the second half. On the road in double overtime down in Gainesville after leading by 21 in the first half and leading by 5 with 30 seconds to go. And that's coulda, woulda, shoulda, but they easily could be 10-4, 2-0 in the league. How good are these guys?
They are very good, and I think what they do best is obviously shoot the ball. A terrific shot by Tyrese Maxey pulling it up. But what Alabama does, they get the ball down court quickly. They take about 30 threes a game, but they also take about 23 free throws. So they are in attack mode all the time. The one thing they have an issue with is this. They turn the ball over. They've got about a 20% turnover rate, even though it's gotten better over the last 8 games. They're only turning over about 13 times a game over the last 8 games.
And isn't this, kind of the modern era of basketball at its peak right there? It's almost all threes in the paint or free throws. The mid-range is a diminishing thing. And for a team like Alabama, even in transition, they're looking to knock down a 3.
Yeah, and that's smart. And look, Nate Oates is very big into analytics, but what they want first, and just E.J. Montgomery just playing with the ball instead of making a quick move, trying to juke one way, go the other. That's not his game. You want a one dribble move and take it. But what Nate Oates wants and sort of his analytics of the best possible shots, number one is free throws. You're going to score more points per possession from the free throw line than anywhere else on the floor. Then at the rim 2s, and then kick out open 3s.
Hagans putting the pressure on Lewis, and he draws the foul. I think it was Beetle Bolden coming back to help. Now they're going to give it to Kyra Lewis.
Yeah, Lewis reached in, and Bolden went up to try to block the shot. He actually got a piece of it, but Lewis raked right across his arm there. You see, watch here, he gets him right on the arm there.
And Hagans at the line, the sophomore from Cartersville, Georgia, in the game that you did in Athens midweek, went back closer to home, had a lot of family and friends there, and played coming off a sprained ankle that he had suffered in the previous game against Missouri, but still played like 36 minutes.
He's the most indispensable player on this team. Without Ashton Hagans, a lot of fight goes out of this Kentucky team. And I thought the best advertisement or promotion for Ashton Hagans as National Defensive Player of the Year, and he's right there, I think, to get that award, was how he played in the ball game against Georgia. There were at least 3-4 possessions in that ball game where Georgia was taking it down in an advantage situation, and Ashton Hagans disrupted it, and it turned into 2 points for Kentucky, where he completely turned around an advantage situation.
Javian Davis trying to power through Nate Sestina for a bucket, but couldn't get it done.
Yeah, a lot of contact, there's no call.
Davis, a redshirt freshman from Canton, Mississippi, lost about 40 pounds during his redshirt year last year. Hagans using the screen, and he draws another foul.
Yeah, Alabama got caught on a switch on that defensive possession. John Petty Jr. got caught on Nate Sestina. And Sestina probably should have taken him earlier down into the post. He got him there ultimately, but Hagans decided to go off that ball screen. And if you notice, Alabama's playing soft on these ball screens. That's the same area where Ashton Hagans made a jumper from that elbow, because the big guy guarding the screener is not connected. They're staying back in the lane to play the drive. They're basically inviting that mid-range jumper. And go ahead and take it and see how many of them you can make. Because they don't want to let Alabama get Kentucky all the way to the rim where there's a chance for an easy 2 or a foul.
Hagan's 1 of 2.
But how about the way Kentucky has shot free throws this year? I mean, going into the Georgia game, they're shooting 80% as a team and shot the ball poorly on the road at Georgia.
Yeah, it's one thing to get there a ton. It's another thing to shoot them well. Kentucky does both of those things. And as you can see, they have made more free throws than their opponents have attempted. Sestina for 3. The grad transfer from Bucknell, his 10th made 3 of the season. 5 of them came in one game. But it is a shot that opponents respect, and it does open things up a little bit more on the inside for other players.
And this is as a trailer, so he's stepping into that 3. And he's excellent at catch and shoot threes. He is a difference maker on this team. So whether it's pick and pop, you have a switch, or it's a catch and shoot, he is a very valuable offensive player that can stretch a defense.
Well, I think you would agree, for Alabama to win this game, they've got to out-3 Kentucky. It is a strength of Alabama's. It is not a strength of Kentucky's. Right now, the Wildcats have made a 3. The Crimson Tide still haven't.
Well, they've got to badly out-3 Kentucky. I mean, Kentucky only makes 4.7, 4.8 threes a game. Alabama's not going to make 7 and beat them. They got to make 11 or 12.
Emmanuel Quickley, who has been outstanding off the bench in recent games for the Cats, extends the lead.
Well, for those who think the mid-range shot is dead, Kentucky proven that wrong. Now, Kentucky is not a great long-range shooting team. There's those long rebounds. Blockouts don't help you too much with a long ball.
Shackelford might have gotten away with a travel. It's out of bounds to Kentucky. Momentum has swung in favor of the home team, and the Cats now lead by 6. When do we come back? A preview of the big game Monday night. SEC ACC College Football Championship game. Scott's in the football state of mind here on a Saturday afternoon.
Well, who's not? But all that's going on in football as everything winds down with the College Football Playoff Championship, the NFL playoffs. But man, basketball, this is the time of year when basketball really heats up as conference play begins. And Kentucky with a 6-point lead. Kentucky's got 2 points in the paint of their 18. How about that? It's all been off mid-range jumpers. They've knocked a few free throws down, but basically it's been all mid-range.
And how about 7 of 8 field goals? And they have come from 7 different players. And Alabama still has not made a 3. Again, they attempt about 30. They make about 11. And right now, Nate Sestina's got the only 2-3 in the game.
Just a little ball screen, taking all the action to the right, and quickly just turned back around and found sort of the roll replace action with Sestina replacing up. And because that is being played so soft, the roll is going to be difficult to get, but it's the jumper out top that's available, and Sestina can knock that one down all day long.
Herbert Jones with a bucket at the other end after the initial shot had been blocked by Nick Richards. Now Brooks, offensive foul.
All right, take a watch at Sestina right here. He's going to replace up as this screen comes and all the action goes this way, and then quickly is going to turn around. You'll note that Alex Reese is playing soft, playing the roll, and a terrific job by Sestina of getting his feet set. He's ready to shoot when the ball arrives. He doesn't catch and assess or catch and then get ready. He's catching it to shoot it and then make the defense take it away from you.
Lewis with a drive. Good cut by Jones. Can't finish over the length of Richards.
The length and physicality of Kentucky. They've done a good job of making this Alabama team finish over them, and Alabama's had a tough time doing it.
Quickly deflected it. Hagans comes up with a steal. But it belongs to Alabama.
Wait, one thing with Alabama, Dan, not shooting the ball well to start, not finishing some plays. They're only down 7 points right now. The thing they cannot do is start getting loose with the ball and pressing a little bit. And, it's nothing to worry about. A little horn set with 2 up top, 2 in the corners. Wow. How easy is that?
Wow.
What a total miscommunication there. That was about as bad as defense gets for Kentucky.
Kira Lewis Jr. with the easiest layup he'll ever get.
He's probably worried if in a pickup game he would have said, what, did we not check the ball?
Yeah. Did somebody blow a whistle and I didn't hear it? And now I think a Kentucky player was out of bounds and didn't reestablish himself and then touch the ball. So it's back over to Alabama. And who's at fault here, Jay? What happens here? Is it?
Well, it was a miscommunication. I'm not sure whether they thought that there was going to be something. It looked like Nate Sestina was just pressing up there, and there's really no reason to do that. You force the player one way into a screen, usually to their offhand. But that was just really poor defense.
They played it differently this time. Lewis still got the switch, but couldn't hit the floater. And now a Kentucky turnover. Or was it deflected out of bounds? It'll stay with the Cats.
Yeah, it was deflected, but I thought Higgins might have touched it last, but the officials were right on top of it.
Don Daly, Jason Baker, R.B. Clyburn, the officiating crew here on this Saturday afternoon in Lexington. 20,000 as always for the Wildcats. Quickly, what a block by Petty. Quickly now gets a look at a three. Yes!
It worked out better for Emmanuel Quickly to get that block as long as he can get it back. Just came off that wide pin and curled it into the middle. And Petty was right there to block it. A little shot fake, he would have flown right by.
How many teams are bringing a guy as good as Quickly off the bench? He's a starter who just doesn't happen to be starting games. But as John Calipari always says, who finishes is much more important than who starts. First three of the game for Alabama, and it belongs to Jalen Forbes, a freshman from Florence, Mississippi.
A little surprised that they went triple team on the post to give the Alex Reese a chance to throw it out to an open shooter. And Alabama is hanging in there.
Quickly leaned in, extra pass off the fingertips of Hagan. Still got time.
Well, that is not a good shot. You know, Khalil Whitney has struggled, and he'll get there. He's not gotten there yet, but that was not the shot they wanted.
Reese driving on Sestina, knocked out of bounds.
One of the things playing against Alabama for out of bounds under, you know, Herbert Jones takes the ball out, the long lefty. You can get caught up in a hurry because you're so worried about the three. You can give up something here. There it is. Boy, good defense.
Richard swats it away, but the easy putback there for Herbert Jones. Boy, Jones is a good player. They've got something they call a hard hat award, not coincidentally, because it's a hard hat they give out to whoever does, the most blue-collar plays, deflection, steals, diving on the floor for loose balls, offensive rebounds. And when in doubt, Jones is the guy who wins it for Alabama. Easy putback there for Nick Richards.
Anytime you have two guys going for a block shot, it is going to open up the offensive glass. And Alabama has done a better job on their offensive glass, mostly because of the long rebounds. I mean, that is really hard to deal with, especially when you don't see this many threes.
And a chance for three at the other end. Nice slip inside there by Lewis to lay it in.
And a beautiful shot fake by Kira Lewis Jr. There have been a lot of blocked shots in this game, and he used the shot blocker kryptonite, which is a little shot fake, and then he went right into the body of Sestina and finished the play.
Force the start of that game over on ESPN News. Dan?
Kevin, thank you. Auburn, one of the two remaining undefeateds, along with San Diego State. By the way, Alabama will host Auburn Wednesday night, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, ESPN2. So how about the week that the Crimson Tide are having right now? Speaking of the Tide, Nate Oates, first-year coach. We told you a little bit about the hard hat that they give out after every game for your blue-collar points and so on. It's something that he said a then assistant of his, Lindsey Hunter. Remember Lindsey Hunter? Nice long NBA career. Was an assistant for Oates in Buffalo. Kind of said, you guys aren't blue collar enough. You got to do this. You've got to do that. More grit and grind kind of play. So they came up with this hard hat idea. And at the end of every game, they assess the points. They give it out to one of the players on the team. And through 14 games this year, Herb Jones has won it 7 of the 14 times for a guy, as you mentioned, Jay, had a tremendous amount of success in 4 years with Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean, they get points. They call them blue-collar points for deflections, steals, blocks, rebounds, loose balls, diving on the floor, things like that. You get 4 points for a charge. But as you mentioned, Herb Jones has gotten most of them. But Nate Oates was telling us last night when Kira Lewis Jr. won one, he was really thrilled about it. Yep. Something the players, kind of like the turnover chain or something like that, that they've taken advantage of. And It's really given them a rallying point.
E.J. Montgomery with a baseline jumper. I think if we had that kind of an award on our crew, I think
I'd win it every week.
Well, I was going to say the hard hat would be gathering dust in the locker somewhere. But, we can go with your version if you like. Bolden muscling his way inside, just nowhere to go. Good defense by Quickley.
And really a good job by Quickley of making Beetle Bolden finish a tough 2 instead of taking a 3. If he makes that shot, your hard hat's off to him and tip your hard hat, move on. But what you don't want to give up are 3s.
And now Montgomery a little bit shaken up. E.J. Montgomery is not coming up the court as Kentucky advances on offense.
He took one right in the chest, it looked like. I couldn't really tell, but he was walled up, and the offense went right into him trying to draw contact.
23 in white, middle of your screen. It looked like that left arm of Jones.
No, it was his chest.
Yep.
I mean, he put his shoulder right into the chest of E.J. Like, watch the drive here. He goes, boom. He just knocked the wind out of him. You hope it's not, not anything worse than that.
I hope that's all it is. So he will head to the bench. Richards and Sestina, the big guys in the game right now for Kentucky, along with Whitney, Maxey, and Quickley. Maxey, a midseason Wooden Award candidate, one of 25. Hagans is as well. A steal by Jones, and 2 strong off the glass. Lewis is there for the offensive rebound, and they've still got the ball.
Well, what a great play by Herbert Jones to get that steal.
Boy, wild shot by Beetle Bolden, but it goes. And Alabama only down by 2.
And they've got like 20 paint points or something like that. It's ridiculous. This has gone exactly the opposite. The jump shooting team, even though it's been mid-range, has been Kentucky.
Alabama's not shooting well. Their leading scorer, John Petty, does not have a point in this game, and they've got a chance to tie or take the lead on this possession.
If Kentucky keeps taking these jumpers, and especially mid-range jumpers, that favors Alabama.
In and out for Jones. Rebound Richards.
Alabama's more than willing to give up 12 to 15-foot jumpers to Kentucky, so to keep them away from the rim, because this is where they're most dangerous.
Nick Richards awfully dangerous. Boy, again, how he has stepped up. John Calipari said, quote, yesterday, he built his own confidence. He got into better shape. He's a bit of a late bloomer. Didn't start playing at that young of an age from Jamaica. Didn't have as much competitive basketball as a kid as a lot of these other guys. But, boy, Richards has turned into a star this year.
Well, Richards really struggled against Utah and Ohio State in Las Vegas. He had 7 points and 4 rebounds total in those 2 games. But nobody turns to box out because they're worried about the blocked shot. John Petty went after a block after it already got out of the hands of the shooter. He's not going to get that from behind. But that opened up the offensive glass for the second time for Nick Richards. But after that Ohio State and Utah doubleheader where they lost, they lost both those games, and he had 7 points, 4 rebounds total. In the last 3 games, Nick Richards has averaged 17 and 9, and he's been 21 of 30 from the field in those 3 games. He's really stepped up his performance.
Wins over Louisville, Missouri, and Georgia. Baseline jumper for Richards.
That's clearly a shot he can hit, and he's taking it confidently. But again, that's another 2. And not an easy 2.
Richards on his way to a big afternoon. Jones the drive. Montgomery, who's back into the game, altered the attempt. Maxey with a reverse, deflected away, and back comes the Tide. Jones one-on-one, lays it in with a right hand, and the lefty laying it in with his weak hand after the crossover brings him back within 4.
That's the second Euro step he's had. The first one got blocked.
Remember, he's a guy who had an elbow injury earlier this season, played through it, has been hampered by it, but feeling much more like himself recently, and Richards is now into double figures.
Usually Nick Richards is a roller off a pick and roll. That was a pick and pop, and he knocked it down. Boy, 10 points already in this game for Nick Richards.
And the loudest rup has been so far today, and it got louder now. Hagans. Quickly. points are going down right now for Kentucky more than for Alabama. The Wildcats, Jay, running some really nice offense.
Well, they're doing a good job off ball screens. John Calipari knows that this Alabama team playing these things soft. So Nick Richards, instead of rolling to the basket, just pops where you can get. And this is a beautiful pass by Ashton Hagans in transition off of the Herbert Jones turnover. He finds Emmanuel quickly for that step-in three. That's just a great awareness, looking at cutters and guys that are running toward the basket, but also being mindful that your best shooter is coming down the right side and setting up for a three, and you are not going to get a better three than that step-in three in transition. You can see the difference in three-point field goals. 4 of 5 for Kentucky. All of them that they've taken have been good shots. And then, you know, Alabama's going to shoot some questionable ones because that's what they do. They shoot threes.
11 makes per game is third in the nation for Alabama, where they have made just 1 so far here today. Bolden will try to change that. They're now 1 for 10, but another offensive rebound. Lewis, left hand, in and out. And Richards down with another rebound.
Great fake.
And Hagans turns it over.
Boy, uncharacteristic, the turnovers in this ball game for Kentucky, and it leads to the first 3 for Alabama, and that can perhaps get John Petty Jr. going. A guy who is a big-time scorer. He had 39 in a game earlier this year against Samford, I believe. Had 10 threes in that game, and that's ridiculous against anybody.
His first points of the game for their leading scorer. And they're back within 6, and you wonder if Nate Oates is thinking, yeah, you know, it's got to even out. Some of the shots that have been missed in the first half will go down, and if he still feels pretty good about things, even though they're down by 6.
Well, I don't buy the it'll even out part, but I think he knows he's got some really good shooters, and so you want your shooters to keep shooting good shots.
Montgomery. Long 2 with the shot clock running down, and back over to Bama.
And that's the shot Alabama wants Kentucky to take.
Petty, nice little hesitation. Jones cutting, the pass went by him, and it's Hagans in alone.
Well, that's just Alabama trying to do too much.
Hagans was upset, thought that Beetle Bolden kind of undercut him a little bit on the follow-through of the dunk when he was hanging in the air. He was unhappy about that.
He's also limping a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know whether he re-aggravated that ankle. Just a good defense by Kentucky to force that turnover, and then Ashton Hagans takes it the other way. Just a difficult and ill-advised pass by Petty. And I don't know whether Hagans got clipped when he was still up on the rim, but he wasn't happy about it and was limping. He's still limping around a little bit, but he's one tough player. He's not coming out just because he's in a little bit of discomfort. He changed shoes in the game against Georgia. Had one pair on to start the game and then another to finish. I couldn't tell exactly when he changed them. If he changes these, it won't be hard to spot. Those are very memorable shoes.
Under 2 minutes to go here in the first half. Dan Shulman and Jay Bilas here in Lexington, Kentucky, to begin a big day of college basketball with the Wildcats taking on Alabama and leading by 7. Jay's a little bit distracted right now.
Just had some ice cream delivered. It's not the soft serve. We're being buttered up here, and I like it.
This lineup for Kentucky, when they've got all 3 of these guards in together, Hagans, Maxey, and Quickly. How dangerous can they be? Because they're all quick. They can all get to the bucket. They're all good to great defenders. And again, even though Quickly doesn't start, this is probably the best lineup when these 3 are in together.
Yes.
Wide open, Petty.
He never misses that.
He's a 50% three-point shooter on the season. 56% his last 11 games. Maxey will drain one at the other end.
And Kentucky taking advantage of every Alabama mistake. And Alabama has started making mistakes that have been forced by the Wildcat defense.
Unbelievable to see Kentucky 5 of 6 from three-point range, and nothing is falling for the Tide.
They have just converted so successfully off of mistakes that Alabama's made. And Tyrese Maxey, who is an outstanding scorer. You know, he's not going to be kept quiet for long. You should have shot fake. You should have felt that on the last play, but getting this in transition, you're not going to get an easier three. He's got a little bit of a low release point on that shot, but there's not, especially for young players, Dan, there's not a freshman that has played better in big games than Tyrese Maxey has played in Kentucky's biggest games this year.
He is a Wendy's Wooden Watch mid-season candidate, one of 25 on the list. His teammate Ashton Hagans is one as well. Kentucky, Kansas, and Duke are the only three schools that have multiple Wooden Award mid-season candidates. As we take a look at today's Wendy's Wooden Watch, and there it is, Hagans and Maxey both on the list.
Well, Hagans so good against Georgia, playing on that gimpy ankle, and did such a great job defensively in that ball game. Tyrese Maxey matched up with Anthony Edwards, and he took on that challenge and really won the battle. But he also had 17 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, 4 blocks against Georgia. That was just a spectacular game for his first true road game in the SEC.
I think Anthony Edwards is the only other player from the SEC who's a midseason Wooden candidate right now. Auburn undefeated, ranked 5th. Kentucky at 14th. Nobody else in the SEC is ranked. Alabama's good. LSU is good. Arkansas is good. Florida, are they getting better? You know, such high expectations preseason, but kind of that 3 through 7 range in the SEC is going to be very interesting to follow over the course of the next couple of months.
You know, Auburn's been really interesting this year. Obviously undefeated going into this game today against Georgia, but for Auburn, it's not like they're doing it with turnovers or a prolific three-point shooting team. They're just finding ways to win. Another good offensive rebounding team, but I'm surprised that Samir Doughty's not on the Wooden mid-season top 25 list, because he's been their best player.
And if you want to make note of a fun game, 3 weeks from tonight, Kentucky at Auburn on ESPN. Circle your calendars for that one.
Wow.
Eddie with a deep 3.
Are you kidding me? Nick Richards was all over him. That couldn't have been better defended.
Quickly creates some space, doesn't go. And that'll bring the first half to a close. That 3 by Petty, getting it down to a 10-point deficit for Alabama. Kentucky shooting the 3 extremely well. Alabama not so much. Wildcats leading by 10. Time now to head to the studio for the halftime report along with John Crispin and Chris Spatola. Here's Kevin Connors. Energy. Kentucky with a 10-point lead going to the second half. Nick Richards with a big first half for the Cats with 11 points, 6 rebounds. How about 4 blocks as well? And if you had to pick a team that would be knocking them down consistently from beyond the arc in this game, would you pick Kentucky? Probably not. Never mind that. We got our ice cream. And that video's not actually sped up. That's actual speed as we were going to town at the end of the first half. There's an unconfirmed rumor there's bourbon in the ice cream. We move on.
I don't know if it's an unconfirmed rumor. I think there was bourbon in there. But that's not even the soft serve, which is so great.
That's what we came here for. 10-point lead for the Wildcats over Alabama. Go to the second half. Dan Shulman, Jay Billis, a little bit fuller than we were minutes ago. What'd you think of the first half?
Well, I thought Kentucky did a great job. Even though they turned the ball over a little bit too much, they had 9 turnovers in the first half. They did a great job of taking away Alabama's threes. Alabama 3 of 13. And even though Alabama had 20 points in the paint, Kentucky doesn't mind that so much, because the question is, can Alabama score enough twos to beat Kentucky? And I think the answer is no. As long as Kentucky does a great job of limiting Alabama from the three-point line, I think the Wildcats have a great chance to win.
Now you can see just 3 for 13 for Alabama from beyond the arc. They average 11 per game. They're going to keep shooting them. It's just a question of will enough of them go in the second half to get them back into this game.
How about the first half for Nick Richards, who had 11 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 blocked shots in his 18 minutes of play. Avoided foul trouble. When he stays on the floor and is playing with this sort of assertiveness, Kentucky is a really good basketball team.
And Emmanuel quickly will start the second half for the Wildcats. Didn't start the game, doesn't normally start the game. Normally it's Brooks. But this 3-guard look that we told you about with Quickly, Maxey, and Hagans, without question, when those 3 guys are on the floor, that's part of Kentucky's best group, and they'll start the second half.
Offensively, the best group is those 3 guards, Richards and Nate Sestina. But E.J. Montgomery is such a better defender.
Petty, wide open look. Boy, John Calipari can't be happy about that, but a great shooter missed an open three.
He's had 2 open threes in this game, one in the first half and that one, and he's missed them both. And that is really unusual. I mean, John Petty is shooting over 50% from 3 coming into this game. And he was 50 of 99. It's not like he's, taken 10 of them. He's taken 100.
And by the way, the first 3 that he made, which came late in the first half, was his 200th 3 in an Alabama uniform. He becomes the 5th player in program history to reach that milestone.
That's his 3rd block in this game. That was a foul. He got fouled there.
Jones can't finish it. Herb Jones, very active as always, but just 4 of 14 now from the field.
Yeah, he's taking too many difficult shots. Those are awfully hard shots to make. And even though I thought he got fouled there, you're going to have to deal with that all through the game.
Maxey with a floater, and he gets called for the offensive foul. Some hard hat points there for Herb Jones.
You got 4 of them, even though, I mean, look, I'm not going to argue with the officials calling these charges, but those things need to go away. I mean, you got to be able to come down, and if you're not in place when the offensive player gathers to go up, then I think that's a block. And we have become a charge-happy game in college basketball.
Galen Smith over Richards won't go. Follow not there for Reese. Kentucky ball.
Kentucky had 4 white shirts right there on the defensive glass and came away with it. Little ball screen coverage change now. Alabama is pressing up and staying connected. That means that there's going to be a lot more pressure on the rim with the hard roll.
Lewis off to Jones. Another tough shot, but this one he finishes.
Let's see if Kentucky takes advantage of ball screen coverage changing for Alabama. The adjustment made at halftime. And if they go to some more ball screens and see if they can get a roll man or get it all the way to the rim.
Petty having to do a lot of work chasing Maxey around the court. Maxey follows up his own miss.
Well, how about that second effort? Tyrese Maxey expected to be able to dunk that ball, didn't get it, but that second jump was really good.
He's got a motor, doesn't he?
Oh, he can really play.
So can this guy. Quickly down with the rebound.
Maxey's out ahead.
Ooh. And got Petty in the air. Petty the foul. The Kentucky bench and the coaches want that to be in the act of shooting, but they're not going to get their wish.
Now watch Tyrese Maxey here. A great baseline drive. You cannot let him get to his right hand. And he does get to his right hand here against Petty. Misses the dunk, but he was the first back up and able to get it back in. And you mentioned motor. He's just a playmaker. You really have to force him left. He can still make plays going to his left, but he's not quite as good.
14 points per game, the leading scorer for Kentucky, one of 4 players averaging better than 12 points per game, including that guy, Immanuel Quickley.
Boy, Quickley did a great job of hesitating and setting up that cut to come off that screen where he sort of curled it and was able to turn right into that shot. And you have to force him into that. He really had the option to go either way, and that just wasn't great defense by Alabama.
Strong finish inside by Javian Davis.
To get back in this game and get within striking distance, Alabama's got to get some stops. And you can't just rely upon knocking some threes down and outscoring Kentucky in Rupp. They got to get stops here.
Alabama averaging better than 84 points per game, highest in the SEC, one of the highest scoring teams in the country, but facing a good defensive team here in UK.
Now take a look here at Immanuel Quickley right here on the baseline. Now he's out of bounds if he's the first to catch the ball. Now Kyra Lewis Jr. does not give him a direction. You got to be right on his hip and force him to come out to the left side rather than being able to keep you on a string. Reggie Miller used to do that really well in the NBA. You've got to give him a direction. Lewis Jr. did not do that there and quickly took advantage of it.
Higgins misses a 3. Out of bounds, Alabama ball.
When I was noting that Immanuel Quickley was out of bounds, when players step out of bounds and they're not forced out of bounds, they cannot be the first player to catch the ball after they step out. Otherwise, it is a turnover.
Davis, the handoff for Petty, draws a crowd. And then Davis couldn't handle the return pass, but it's off the foot of Richards out of bounds to take us to the under-16 media timeout. Kentucky leading by 13. And everybody getting their ice cream.
Oh, get aggressive with that cone. That's no laissez-faire approach to this. You've got to be assertive and aggressive when at Rupp with ice cream.
This is the SEC on ESPN. Let's go inside the league a little bit, give you some of the top stories. We've talked a lot about Ashton Hagans today. Leads the conference in assists, tied for the lead in the conference in steals per game. One of the best defenders in the country. Tough news for Vanderbilt. Aaron Nesmith, the leading scorer in the conference, 23 points per game, stress fracture in his foot. Out indefinitely, not necessarily for the entire season, but that does loom as a realistic possibility. And then Auburn, along with San Diego State, one of the two remaining unbeatens in Division I, and leading Georgia by 11 at halftime of their game this afternoon.
And we were able to find the most flattering picture of Bruce Pearl. But how about Aaron Nesmith from Vanderbilt? Along with John Petty, he's one of the two players in the country that have made that amount of threes at over 50% from three-point range. Aaron Nesmith has made 60 threes on the year, and he shot 52% from three-point range. That is remarkable. Poor pass by Tyrese Maxey, just trying to do too much on that baseline drive.
Bolden high off the glass. Another tough shot for Alabama in transition, but this one will go.
Thought that might be the fifth block of the game for Nick Richards. But that's really the offense for Alabama in the second half. It's been off of miscues by Kentucky, and Kentucky hasn't made a whole lot of miscues throughout the course of the game.
Richards, who's hit a couple of mid-range jumpers earlier today, didn't get that one. Nice two-man game on the pick and roll. Lewis to Davis.
And all of a sudden it is a three-possession game. Boy, Ashton Hagans, even though he's a little bit gimpy, and he would probably say, hey, I haven't played my best. He's got 7 points, 6 assists, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, and 3 steals in this one.
Richards blocked by Petty, got it back, and is fouled.
Well, John Petty has been doing a great job challenging shots. That's either his third or fourth block in this game.
And the hair, Jim.
Yeah, that goes without saying. Yeah. That's spectacular. Well, good job by Richards to bring that ball back down. He wasn't going to be able to dunk it from that, coming from the short corner, where a lot of coaches now are calling that the dunk spot. It's where you stay behind the defense, and anytime you help up on a drive for Kentucky, they are throwing that ball up to the rim to Nick Richards.
So how about Richards on the season? One of 4 players in the country averaging at least 12.5 points per game, 7 rebounds per game, 2 blocks per game, and shooting 65% or better from the field. If you had said to Big Blue Nation before the season, he'll give you that, every single one of them would have signed up in a heartbeat.
You're darn right. And he's a great advertisement for sticking with it. You know, it didn't happen for him early. His development, guys aren't going to figure it all out right away. And really, Khalil Whitney's going through that right now as a freshman, the 6'6" freshman from Chicago. He's learning to play with other guys. And it takes time.
Richards now a junior, nearly another turnover, and in fact it is. As you know, LSU taking on Clemson in the national championship game Monday night, and for the 7th straight year, our MegaCast will have you covered from every platform, TV, radio, digital, multiple ways to watch and listen to the biggest game of the year. Coverage begins Monday night at 8 Eastern. Where will you be on Monday night?
I will be in Oklahoma City, or actually Norman, Oklahoma. Great cut by John Petty. Petty set a little back screen for Kira Lewis Jr. right along the elbow, and then just cut right to the basket. It was basically a slip of that screen, and just a beautiful play by Petty. Maybe a little too much talk here. Crowd reacting to what they thought was a block shot, but take a look at Petty right here, cutting right to the bucket, and Whitney looked like he blocked that up top. There's a little bit too much talking going on among the participants in the game. Now watch Whitney up top. Yeah, really, because he lost the ball, you could argue that was incidental contact, but the officials are gonna protect shooters.
Petty out, Shackelford back in. Shackelford, a guy who can light it up.
He can really shoot it.
Yep.
And over his last 5 games, Jaden Shackelford's averaging close to 16 points and shooting 46% from 3. Just a freshman.
Didn't play a whole lot of the first half, averaging 26 minutes per game this year and 13 points per game. They need some of that.
Well, they need his offense. He just got to make sure he can defend in this game. Boy, if Alabama can get a score here, this whole game takes on a different complexion.
And Ashton Hagans picking up the foul, his first. Boy, Lewis never, I don't know if this makes sense, but he's going a million miles an hour without making it look like he's going a million miles an hour. It's such effortless speed that he's got out there.
That makes perfect sense. You speak great English and you enunciate. That made perfect sense.
Thank you. It's the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
Yeah, don't get used to it.
Double team inside. Pass deflected. It should belong to Kentucky. It hit both hands on the way out. And it belongs to the Wildcats.
Well, Nick Richards down. Looked like he took one in the side of the head. It has been physical out there. Going over to double team, and as the pass was being made, he just got hit with the follow through.
Yeah, inadvertently Davis kind of hit him in the side of the face after that pass. So Richards to the bench.
Oftentimes the inadvertent ones hurt more than the intentional ones.
Sestina threw it away. Bolden ahead to Lewis.
A great job by Kira Lewis Jr. First, the pass led him right to the layup, but he didn't have to put it on the deck to let Hagans catch up and perhaps block it. Well, we got a ball game here.
Yeah, it's a 9-1 run for the Crimson Tide.
Looked like Alabama was going to, or excuse me, that Kentucky was going to stretch this thing out. And Alabama's fought back. Well, Beetle Bolden did such a good job of leading Kira Lewis Jr. to the basket. The turnover and then immediately passing ahead. It's like a quarter by little Joe Burrow over the shoulder. Where only the offense could catch it.
Richards still doesn't look quite right on the bench. So they go with Montgomery and Sestina in the front court. The lefty Montgomery.
Boy, nice move by E.J. Montgomery. It was a decisive move with just one dribble. Getting the ball into the middle of the lane. You know, just after that curl, he sets a little pin down screen. And I think it was quickly, just gave him that little pocket pass, and then he took advantage of it, getting that left hand in the middle of the lane.
Lewis, floater from the baseline. Jones the offensive rebound. Shackelford misses the three, but another opportunity for the Tide. Reese inside, and they finally capitalize.
Well, he got hit. You know, even though you don't want to give up an offensive rebound, John Calipari is probably saying to himself, look, we gave up a 2, but as long as we're not giving up 3s, I mean, it's going to take a lot of 2s to beat us.
Hanging around down by 7, 12 minutes to go. Baseline, Maxey.
He's got game, doesn't he?
Yep.
He moves well without the ball, and then he sets his feet quickly. Squared up and set his feet. He had all 10 toes pointed at the rim.
Bolden doesn't get the bounce on the 3. Beetle Bolden having a tough day now. 2 for 10 from the field. And Alabama still has only 3 threes in this game. They haven't made one in the second half. They're 3 for 16 as a team.
It's a fabulous job by Kentucky of taking away 3s, not allowing in transition or in the half court. Really, one of the 3s was the end of the half by John Petty when he shot it from the logo over Sestina.
Yep. Foul by Quickly to take us to the under 12 media timeout. Kentucky leading by 9, but it's Alabama making a bit of a run here in the second half in spite of the fact they're not shooting the 3 well. They're getting the ball inside. They're getting out in transition and somehow trying to stay in this game by just making twos.
No question, I'm doing fine. Look, have your people go and call my.
Kevin, thank you. Boy, love the Big East. So many good teams in the Big East. Alabama, you expect them to shoot and make a ton of threes. They are just 3 for 16 in this game, a team that averages 11 made threes per game.
Well, Kentucky's done a great job of running them off that three-point line, but they have had some open opportunities. Alex Reese misses that one, and Beetle Bolden has taken a lot of challenge shots both inside and outside the arc. But John Petty had this in the first half and then this in the second half where he doesn't get more open shots than that and missed them both, which is unusual for him. He made an incredible shot to end the first half over Nate Sestina. But really the game plan for John Calipari of taking away threes and making sure that this Alabama team doesn't get anything from the three-point line. If they get twos, you know, Cal's saying, hey, that's on me. Can they make enough twos to beat us? And the answer so far in the game has been no.
Lewis, tough shot from the elbow off the inbounds play.
And those are the kind of shots that John Calipari wants to force, because those are difficult, really tough twos instead of threes. Apparently Cal took that statistics course that Nate Oates taught at the University of Wisconsin-Madison.
Maxey using the screen. Richards battling for it, but it's Alabama ball.
Alex Reese not staying connected to Nick Richards, just figured he was going to roll there and clogged up the middle, forcing the pull-up jumper.
Whenever Higgins isn't on Lewis, it's Maxey on him. And now a switch, the drive, quickly with good hands. And wait a minute, I think that's the correct call. Quickly made a great play, and when he threw it back into the court of play, it grazed off the leg of an Alabama player.
Alabama, when it takes the ball under the basket to the other side, they got to keep the dribble. And Quickly doing a great job on that baseline drift and jumping in front to make that steal right in front of Shackelford. A great split of the double.
And then missed the dunk. And then a Kentucky foul. Boy, Maxey got everything that he wanted and somehow missed that dunk.
Terrific job of splitting two defenders off the ball screen. Just going right past Herbert Jones, and then Reese doesn't step in to take a charge or try to block the shot, and Maxey, unusual with the left hand, just missing that.
Well, again, Alabama, if they can knock down 1-3, it just feels like a totally different game. They are hanging around, posting up Petty.
Petty set a screen along the elbow, that same one where he just would slip to the basket in the first half, and he just, or excuse me, early on in the second half, and just went right down into the post, got his defender on his hip. It was a design play out of a horn set, and really well done by John Petty.
And again, he's having to do a lot of chasing of Maxey at the other end. Shot clock inside 10 for the Cats. Quickly. Rebound Petty, and they can get even closer. Jones.
They got a foul. I thought that was a block up top, but maybe some body there as well. Great take by Herbert Jones. Jones is left-handed, so he was able to get that ball into his left hand, get into the middle. Maybe it was the hand on his right side that drew the foul, because it looked pretty decent up top.
Jones, a junior, the second year he is one of the captains of this Alabama program.
Now take a look at John Petty here. So John Petty's going to come up and then set the screen and get down into the post. This is a horn set, two at the elbows, and it just wasn't as well defended as you need to. Isolated in the post against Ashton Higgins. Higgins needed to stay on the inside of him, force him back outside. But as you know, Dan Shulman, we can sit and talk about defense. There has never been a shutout in this game.
That's true. Jones, a 59% free throw shooter on the season, missed them both, and it is still a 7-point lead. Richards fouled from behind by Reese.
Alabama has got to give the cutters on these actions. In that case, Immanuel Quickley, you've got to give them a direction. Alabama's allowing them to choose which way they want to go, off which block and off which screen off the block, and they can't allow that. They got to force them to go one way or the other.
Richards misses the baseline jumper. Back come the Tide. Reese with a left-handed slam, and it's a 5-point game.
Boy, how about that play by Herbert Jones? He is a playmaking big guy.
I'll tell you, Nate Oates is up off the bench, and he has got his energy and his players fired up right now.
Well, they're playing tough and hanging in there. This has not been easy for Alabama on the road, but they're continuing to fight. Oh, almost a steal, shooting the gap there for Herbert Jones. Alex Reese from Pelham, Alabama, 6'9" junior, gets out in transition. Herbert Jones at 6'9" delivers that beautiful bounce pass right in stride. Doesn't even need to dribble it. And Reese with the left hand throwing that thing down. A skilled big guy that most often is a three-point shooter. Had a really good game against Florida at 14 points and knocked down a couple of threes in that one.
Among those who just went to the bench for Alabama, Kyra Lewis Jr., who leads the conference in minutes at about 38 minutes per game. Likely to be out just till the under-8 media timeout.
Now, Immanuel Quickley stepped out of bounds there, but the referee must have deemed that he was forced out because he was the first to catch it after he stepped out of bounds.
Nice little fake by Shackelford, and then what a recovery as Richard comes up with another block. That's at least 5 blocks today for Nick Richards. Sestina.
A shot fake or a ball fake will go a long way here for Kentucky because they've been lifting their eyebrows up and Alabama's leaving the floor.
Maxey with a finish.
What a great play by Tyrese Maxey. He went right into the body of Galen Smith and knocked him back. And still he was able to finish that play off the glass. That kid can really play.
Petty initiating the offense for Alabama with Lewis on the bench. Behind the back. Left hand. Offensive rebound. Davis. Got it. And a foul.
That is not a good foul by Kentucky. Boy, Alabama just keeps hanging in there.
They've only made 3 threes the entire game. They haven't made 1 here in the second half. But they're getting on the glass and making it tough for the Cats. We got a game here at Rupp. Alabama down by 5 and going to the line for a chance for a 3-point play with 7.5 to go here in the first game of a slew of games coming your way on ESPN today and into tonight. Into the ACC we go next. Louisville is at Notre Dame. Jordan Nwora, one of the best players in the country, leading the Cardinals. Syracuse at Virginia at 4 o'clock Eastern time. And then at 6 Eastern, some Big 12 action. A couple of ranked teams. It'll be Texas Tech and West Virginia. You want to see a team that is feisty, plays hard, gets on the glass, alters shots. Check out the Mountaineers.
And Texas Tech isn't far behind in that regard. They've got Jamias Ramsey back, who had been injured. They lost 3 games while he was out. And he's an NBA player.
This is as close as Alabama's been in a long, long time. They are down by only 4 points with 7.5 to go.
Richards is wide open in the middle of the lane.
And Higgins with a chance for 3.
Higgins just climbed up the chest of Galen Smith with that baseline drive. And that was a defensive mistake by Beetle Bolden. You cannot allow Ashton Higgins not only to go to his right hand, but you got to force him back into that screen. He tried to jump the ball screen and gave him a wide open lane to the basket.
Alabama ball. Kyra Lewis Jr. has returned now for the Tide. And John Calipari stays with the Higgins, Quickley, Maxey trio, which he's had almost the entirety of the second half.
And Immanuel Quickley on John Petty Jr. Quickley did such a great job on Jordan Nwora when Kentucky beat Louisville in this building.
Petty knew it was short, followed it, and puts it back in. Nobody underneath, nobody near for the defensive rebound for Kentucky.
Well, it's hard to get somebody to block out the shooter when Emmanuel quickly flew right by him trying to block that shot or at least challenge it. And as you said, Petty knew it was probably going to miss short and went after it, but you can't expect somebody other than quickly to block him out.
Alabama's doing a good job running Sestina off the three-point line. Richards looking for somebody to pass to. Then the turnaround that came up short, and here comes Bama again.
He should have been able to find somebody who's quadruple teamed.
Jones from the corner. And they still don't have a made three here in the second half.
Well, Nick Richards should have passed that ball out last time he got it. If he gets it again and they come after him, he's got to find an open teammate. Give him the ball again.
Six minutes to go. 4-point game. Richards. And it belongs to Kentucky. Sestina runs it down. Hagans is fouled.
Boy, not a good sequence for Galen Smith there. He had an opportunity to get that ball. He's got to be gassed.
Yeah, there are a couple of fatigued members of the Tide right now. You can see it.
Smith from Clinton, Mississippi. He's a physical rebounder, big body. But he had an opportunity to get that loose ball, and Sestina got it. And then it wound up leading to a drive and a foul. These guys are playing their tails off, man. But there's still a long way to go.
Smith and Jones both kind of bent over, grabbing onto their shorts on the free throw attempt, and it'll be Smith coming out as Javian Davis gives him a breather.
With all the difficult names to pronounce in college basketball, isn't it refreshing to have Smith, Jones, and Davis in the ball game?
I know. I was giddy this morning. Hagans makes them both. 6-point game. You just keep thinking, especially if you're someone who follows Alabama a lot, that at some point the threes are going down. Maybe now's the time.
I think that was your theory of it all evens out.
Yes, the regression to the mean. 3 for 19 from beyond the arc for the Tide. There may be some fatigue guys in this game. Ashton Hagans is not one of them, nor is Kyra Lewis Jr. Reverse for Jones.
Well, I thought that Lewis Jr. taken that a bit too far, but was still able to find Herbert Jones with the finish on the other side of the bucket. And fatigue and all, Alabama on the road has to find a way to get a stop. He didn't get it across.
Oh my, a 10-second call as Hagans was walking it up the court and didn't get it over in time.
Wow. You hardly ever, and that was after a made field goal. Just walking it up and didn't get it across. At first I thought it was a timeout. They look at the clock. They don't have to count anymore. They just look at the clock. Boy, and they're right. He didn't get it across.
Wow.
Well, you hardly ever see that.
Lewis and a foul.
Just a switch out front on that exchange and quickly picked up Lewis.
We mentioned how young Lewis is. Played as a 17-year-old last year as a freshman. He'll turn 19 in April. He's had some international experience, won a gold medal for the USA on the under-19 team that won in Greece in the summer. This guy's got an incredibly bright future.
And he's such a good guard rebounder also. He's the leading assist guy, obviously, for this Alabama team, but he rebounds almost 6 rebounds a game. You know, and John Petty Jr. is an excellent guard rebounder. He averages over 7 rebounds a game. So if you're getting 13 rebounds from, your point guard and your top shooting wing, and that's pretty impressive.
1 of 2, 3-point game inside 5 minutes to go.
Running something to get a drive here.
10 to shoot. Maxey behind the back. Keon Brooks back into the game. As Kentucky's got a little bit smaller, he's taking the place of Sestina. Got to get a shot off. Quickly from the corner.
Boy, just helping off a corner shooter is not a smart play.
Shackelford had it blocked by Montgomery.
Great block, too difficult of a shot for the freshman Jaden Shackelford.
There's some tired bodies on the court right now. We're inside 4 minutes to go.
That's why I think you move the ball and drive it. You get the opportunity to drive it, especially off a reversal. I think you take it.
What's Quickly going to do? He's going to drive it. He'll kick it.
They're not going to get it off.
No. Well, they said they did, so the ball's still live. Lewis didn't get the foul call. Still belongs to Alabama. Jones, tough finish over Montgomery.
Boy, went right into the body of E.J. Montgomery and still was able to finish with that left hand. He is left-handed, but that was a great finish. And he is gassed as well. These guys are fighting, man.
Alabama just keeps hanging around minute after minute.
And what I mean, Kentucky needs to keep moving.
Ooh. Higgins with a three.
The one thing for the Wildcats right now, if you move and go side to side and make a tired Alabama defense defend, you are more likely to get something really, really good.
Kentucky's made 5 more threes than Alabama has. Make it 4 after one by Petty, but even with that, never in a million years, Jay, would you have predicted that?
Well, it would have been 2 million tops. Petty, all he did there was just basically post up and inside pivot and knock that 3 down. He's had a hard time finding shots. Even on that little ghost screen, they've been switching it.
Higgins the drive and a bump, and we'll be at the free throw line when we come back. What a fun game going on here at Rupp. Kentucky trying to hold off Alabama, and Ashton Higgins making big play after big play for Kentucky, including a 3 a couple of minutes ago. Kentucky leads by 4. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by 5 Hour Energy Shots. Energy on the go. All right, guys, thank you. What a fun game this has been to kick off this great slate of games this afternoon on ESPN. Kentucky leading Alabama by 4. Last year in Tuscaloosa in January, Alabama picked up a win against Kentucky. Tevin Mack, who's now a member of the Clemson Tigers, had a big day for the Tide. Tyler Hero had a chance to win it there. Would not go down. And a big win for Alabama. Now, Alabama winning here would be a different story. They have lost 7 in a row here, have not won at Rupp, Jay, since 2006.
Well, this has been an absolute fist fight out on the court. And some really good performances off both teams. But Ashton Higgins has been terrific. 14 points. 7 rebounds, 9 assists, and 3 steals. And he's doing it gimpy. You know, still with that injured ankle.
And has played 34 of the almost 38 minutes of this game. The only guy who's played more today than Higgins is the guy with the ball right now, Kyra Lewis Jr.
Quickly guarding Petty, forces him down low.
Goaltending on Richards.
Just a terrific cut by John Petty. They thought that Quickly thought he was going to try to go over the top of these screens, and he did a great job of cutting to the basket. And to his credit, Herb Jones did a great job looking over his shoulder and just delivering it with the left hand.
You know, again, not to belabor the point, but Alabama's in this game with what they do best, not going well at all today. They're 4 for 20 from 3, and they're in this game on the road with Kentucky. They're a dangerous team this year.
Well, they fight, man.
Yep.
And they haven't given up. But there's got to be really good movement here because this is a tired Alabama defense. And right now, Herbert Jones on Ashton Higgins. Good job switching off by Davis.
Maxey the drive, the floater, in and out. Rebound Richards, and a foul.
Well, how about the activity by Nick Richards? That's his 10th rebound of the game, his 4th offensive board to go along with those 12 points and 5 blocks. Just wouldn't surrender to the block out. Herbert Jones had him blocked out initially, but he almost looked like a defensive lineman. shedding that block out and getting right around Herbert Jones. That's such a great play by Nick Richards.
Sports Center tonight after NFL Rewind with Michael Eaves and Zubin Mehenti. They'll have post-game coverage of Ravens and Titans, plus keys to victory for the Vikings and the 49ers, and Media Day for LSU and Clemson today in New Orleans. Here from the players and coaches just 2 days before the national championship game.
Who wins that game? Titans, Ravens.
Ravens.
They are a 7-point favorite.
4-point game, minute and a half to go. Petty. Davis.
He got fouled there. That is a foul. Boy, that's hard to fathom, that you can have that much contact and no foul.
And now Kentucky, a little bit of patience with the clock, their ally. Just over a minute to go, up by 4. Well, Higgins just keeps on motoring. Out of bounds, Kentucky ball.
Now take a look at a terrific little pocket pass here. And Galen Smith going right to the bucket. Like, that is a foul, period. And, arms weren't straight up. I mean, that's got to be called.
And the officials going to the monitor now to see whose ball it should be after it was knocked out of bounds here on the Higgins attempt.
Now, one of the great things about the Southeastern Conference is this review is done out of Birmingham. So the officials don't have to go over there and ask for a replay. The review is conducted here, but there's a foul there too. Now the question is, it was knocked out by Alabama, but did it roll off the hand of Ashton Higgins?
We've seen a few of these in the last couple of weeks.
And they're going to keep it the way it is.
So it's Kentucky ball with 1:01 to go and 9 on the shot clock.
Boy, it's terrific that the SEC has gone to, it's basically like NBA replay that's done out of, they get all the replays together and submit them to the officials, so they don't have to dial it up here. It's done for them, and the idea is to make this a much quicker process, and I think overall it's going to work out really, really well. Because, as you know, replay can take a while.
And now a timeout called by John Calipari. Will step aside. Cats up by 4.
A lot of replays like an artist rendering. Takes forever.
All of that one. We've still got 1:01 to go in regulation here. And this is really the big story. The team that shoots the 3 frequently and well has not shot it well today. Alabama just 4 for 20. The team that does not make a lot of threes, Kentucky, has made 8 out of 14 today.
Dogs and cats living together.
Yeah.
What are we going to do? Another one.
Another one. Quickly with number 9 on the afternoon for Kentucky.
And 17 points for Emmanuel Quickly. Not just his good offense, but he's done a good job defensively against John Petty.
Petty no. Higgins the rebound. And they can taste it now here in Lexington. And Petty gives the foul.
Quickly, the inbounder comes right around Nick Richards and able to set his feet. And Kyra Lewis just not able to jump out there in time. Got caught up. Actually looked like he hit Davis when he was trying to head out there. Just a terrific play and a great cut after the inbounds pass by Emmanuel Quickly.
5 for 6 from beyond the arc.
He's another guy who's been hot of late. His last 3 games coming into this one, he's averaging just under 19 points, and it hit 9 of 17 from 3-point range. And he started this close his eyes thing during the Louisville game. It was taking a while for the official to give him the ball, so he's just trying to calm himself, and he's been doing it ever since.
And before and since, he's one of the best free throw shooters in the country. With the make that he just had, he's 49 for 52.
Now, something similar happened when I was playing. When I would shoot a free throw, the crowd would close its eyes.
Well, I think it was Coach K started that. Right? He encouraged people to close their eyes.
Well, what a terrific job Nick Richards has had in this game. But the guards quickly, Maxey, Hagans.
Bolden got away with what should have been a travel, it looked like. Shot clock turned off. Doesn't look like Alabama's going to foul anymore. Give the Tide credit. As poorly as they shot it, they fought so hard to get close and get back into it in the second half. But Kentucky with a nice win, 76-67 over Alabama, as the Cats will go to 3-0 in conference play.
Kentucky is getting better.
Yep.
And that lineup they have of the three guards of Maxey, quickly Hagans, and then putting in, Richards and either Sestino or Montgomery. They're coming. They're getting better.
Yep. 9-point win for the Cats. All kinds of college ball coming your way today. Louisville and Notre Dame mere minutes away. For Jay Billis and our crew, I'm Dan Schulman. Thanks for watching. Let's go back to the studio again. In the meantime, here's Kevin Connors.